It has been a long time, or maybe if ever, that I have done a triple P on stage, Mammy Steele, as I like to call her. And she is the embodiment of the tragic mulatto. And I hate to even use that terminology, but for her, I will humbly make an exception. So this woman most recently was on Jay Cutler's uh podcast, and Jay Cutler, he used to play in the NFL, another PC male, because she gets all giddy when she's around white men. This woman just has a disdain towards black men. I've been convinced of that for years, ever since I read her tacky, nasty letter that she wrote praising her white mother and pretty much downing her black father. Like, she literally made it seem like he was just one of the worst people on the planet. And I think her dad was in the military, which is why he really wasn't in her life like that, because he had military duties. But she tried to make it seem like he just wasn't there because he was just a deadbeat, when that wasn't even the case. And it's nothing, it's nothing wrong if she wants to praise her white mother, because at the end of the day, that's her mother. But the way that she went, like, she talked about her dad, and the thing is, she didn't even really talk about her dad much in this letter. But in the few sentences that she did, you would think he was the scum of the earth. And then, she said other things. She, politics and all types of stuff. She just, I don't even think she just not dislike black men, but she just, I think, dislikes black people. But recently she was, and let's not also forget that she leaned in with a smile and let another PC man pet on her hair like she was a dog. That just pretty much solidifies how she is when she's at home with her husband. But most recently, she was on a podcast with Jay Cutler, where she made some remarks that were deemed controversial. And when you think of it at its core, it kind of was. Even though she tried to make it seem like she was only talking about one person, but when you go beneath the surface, she was talking about black men in general. So she basically made some remarks about Obama and his father not being there. Now, mind you, of course, we all know Obama has a white mother and a black father via Kenya. And his dad wasn't in his life like that. But she had made some remarks, going back to the whole deadbeat dad trope, black men not being good fathers and stuff like that. And I feel like she was pulling that up because, going back again to that letter that she wrote, downing her dad, who was a black man. And many people could see right through what she was saying. She wasn't just talking about Obama. She was using him as a proxy to talk about other black men as well, or black people who may not have had their fathers in their life if their dads are black. Like, we saw straight through what she was trying to say. Well, apparently the comments were so controversial, in fact, that ESPN suspended her. Her and her programming on ESPN for the comments that she made. Let's not forget, this is the same woman that made some comments about what was going on. I forgot what it was. It was a couple years ago. It was pre-Wovid. It was some situation going on, and she got upset because of something about her flight or something like that, in the moment where she made it all about herself. Like, the woman just has a bad spirit about her. She's just the all-around toxic individual, through and through. And I can't count how many times that woman has been demoted from positions that she's had because of how she cannot control the stuff that comes out of her mouth. And now her programming has been suspended. Now, suspended could mean one of two things. One, they suspended, she could come back after maybe a couple of weeks, or suspended as in she's not coming back at all. Hopefully it's the latter. And hopefully suspended so much, in fact, that she doesn't get another job doing what she was doing before at another network. But I'm going to go ahead and read this article and get some more insight about her suspension, and it'll probably most likely quote what she said. ESPN has removed personality sage Mammy Steele from programming for a week after she made controversial remarks in a podcast appearance, including calling the company's Wovid cine mandate sick, and saying it was fascinating that former President Obama self-identifies as black, considering his black dad was nowhere to be found. A source told Front Office Sports on Tuesday that Steele won't appear in her regular noon sportscaster slot for a week, and she will no longer be the host for the 2021 ESPN Women in Sports Summit, which will take place from October 18th through October 20th. This woman fumbles her own bag on just so she could be a bitch. I don't know anyone who can willingly just do that except her. At ESPN, we embrace different points of view. Dialogue and discussion makes this place great, ESPN said in a statement. That said, we expect that those points of view be expressed respectfully and in a manner consistent with our values and in line with our internal policies. ESPN also forwarded an apology from Steele. I know my recent comments created controversy for the company, and I apologize, and I doubt she even means it. We are in the midst of an extremely challenging time that impacts all of us, and it's more critical than ever that we communicate constructively and thoughtfully. The source also said that Steele tested positive for WUVID in recent days. Steele, who has been with the network for about 15 years, made a series of controversial remarks during an appearance on former NFL quarterback Jay Cutler's podcast Uncut with Jay Cutler, where she shared her thoughts on her company's cine mandate, sexism in the sports journalism industry, and questioned former President Obama's ethnicity. Discussing how Obama selected black as his ethnicity on the census, she said, I'm like, well, congratulations to the president. That's his thing. I think that's fascinating considering his black dad was nowhere to be found, but his white mom and grandma raised him. But hey, you do you, I'm going to do me. Now, let me pause right here, right quick. So what she's saying is, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because his black dad was not in his life, even though he is spawned from his loins, even though birthed through his white mother's womb, that means he could not identify himself as black because he wasn't in his life. So that lets me know right there that Sage Steele has never identified herself as black. Because according to that letter that I talked to y'all about, and those of you who have been around since my original channel, because that's when I talked about it, she basically said her black dad wasn't in her life. So by her logic, if you have a black father and he's not in your life, and say that you are either biracial, or maybe if your both parents are black, that means you're not black if your father's not around. By her logic is what she's saying. And there she goes again, praising Obama's white side, his mother and his grandmother. Like, let me read to you the quote again. I'm like, well, congratulations to the president. That's his thing. I think that's fascinating considering his black dad was nowhere to be found, but his white mom and grandma raised him. But hey, you do you, and I'm going to do me. Basically, she's mad at him for selecting black on the census, but she feels that's him ignoring his white side, even though the white side raised him and his dad wasn't really around. So how dare he choose to be labeled as black and not at least biracial or other or mixed or whatever the case may be? That's her logic. But, you know, that doesn't surprise me. This is why I call her Mammy Steele. Like, she's that type of person that if this was the plantation, she would be talking down and a whole bunch of shit about all the black people in the fields while she's in the house with Massa and Miss Ann. If they even let her be in the house. Steele also says she has rejected requests for mentoring from its aspiring female sports reporters who present themselves in what she sees as an over-sexualized manner. So when you dress like that, I'm not saying you deserve the gross comments, but you know what you're doing when you're putting that outfit on too. Steele said, like, women are smart, so don't play coy and put it all on the guys. I know them Me Too heifers are coming down on her hard on that comment. Let's see. And she criticized ESPN's COVID-19 mandate, saying she only received the shot because she didn't want to be removed from programming. I respect everyone's decisions, I really do, but to mandate it is sick, and it is scary to me in many ways, Steele told Cutler. I'm not surprised it got to this point, especially with Disney. I mean, a global company like that. This woman must want all types of smoke. She just woke up today and just chose violence. Former ESPN anchors Keith Olbermann and Jemele Hill had criticized their former colleague for her remarks. Mammy, she needs to tread lightly too because she said some very disparaging things about black men in the past or in agreeance. Sadly, @Sage Steele has a long rep there for trying to blow up the careers of co-anchors and other co-workers. Olbermann said in a tweet on Sunday, mind of an assassin, no aim, always wounding herself. But this stuff, especially the Obama part, is intolerable. They need to take her off the air immediately. And he actually made a point about blow up the careers of co-anchors and other co-workers, because remember what happened with Ugh, I forgot her name. You know what? That's besides the point because I almost got her mixed up with another story. I'm thinking of Maria Hill, but that had nothing to do with Sage Steele. That had everything to do with that other white chick. Let me continue. But he wasn't lying about that. She does have a reputation of doing that and self-sabotaging herself. She's so stupid. Hill described Steele's podcast appearance as clown behavior. So on top of thinking former President Obama shouldn't identify as black because he didn't have a relationship with his black father, Sage Steele also thinks female journalists who dress a certain way know what you're doing when you're putting that outfit on. Now, you know what's so crazy? I wonder if these women's groups are going to come after Sage Steele for that particular comment, because if a man said it, oh, they would have came with fire, pitchforks, brimstone, every plague in the Bible. I want to know if they're going to come after her. Because if not, they are hypocrites. I mean, we already know they are, but I'm just calling their bluff. Florida State Representative Omari Hardy, a congressional candidate in next year's midterms, responded to the suspension on Twitter, calling Steele the Clarence Thomas of ESPN. You want to know what's so funny? Because in another article I saw, they said that Sage Steele is the Candace Owens of ESPN. So we have a Candace Owens of ESPN and a Clarence Thomas of ESPN. Both are not good. They're not compliments. Let's just put that out there. They're not compliments. The Hill has reached out to ESPN for comment. Listen, Mammy Steele deserves every bit of criticism that comes her way. Like I've told people over the years, this woman is bad for business. I have said that for so long. She's literally like, I'll give you another one. She's like the female Don Lemon of ESPN. I'll throw that out there too. Because remember, at one point, black people was rocking with Don Lemon at one point, and then they saw his shoe colors come out. The same thing was with Sage Steele at one point. Black people was rocking with her at one point, and then her fangs came out, and then we had to quickly back away from her. But this is just who she is. And hopefully the suspension lasts longer than a week. Because you know what they say about the 2-week suspension. When you get that 2-week one, that's usually what does it. And then papers usually come in, of course, then again, Jeffrey Toobin, he had longer than 2 weeks and he was allowed to come back. But then again, Jeffrey Toobin is a white man. He did get fired from one spot, but he got brought back to another. But yeah, I don't feel anything for Sage Steele. I'm glad she got this suspension, but I feel like, this isn't really her defining moment. You know how I keep talking about the moment, especially when it comes to the Coonstress? This isn't her moment right here because she's had so many, but we're waiting on that defining moment, much like how Stacey Dash has gotten her defining moment. Notice nobody's talking about her no more. I wouldn't be surprised if I never do a triple P on her again, because she's pretty much done. Like, she's in the trash, she's in the dump, she's in the heap. But Sage Steele, Mammy Steele as I call her moment really hasn't, in my opinion, hit just yet. She's getting little jabs here and there. This is the latest jab, but I don't think this is the defining one, right? This isn't the knockout. But I'll take it, though. Like I said, we will take whatever we can get, and this is what she deserves. Because granted, we have our issues with Obama, but the comments that she made, we know that she wasn't just talking about him. She used him as a proxy. And then she made the comment about, the women's clothing and everything like that. Like I said, when it comes to the women's group, the way y'all come after men for saying something like that, they need to come after her. Because if not, we'll know you'll pretty much be exposed for the hypocrites that you are, even though we know many of you are hypocrites already. But that's going to conclude this Triple P. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, and you know how we're going to end this one off. Petty Debbie, take it away.